A war of words has erupted between the Albanese government and two big energy producers. Shell has threatened to withdraw from a landmark gas supply deal as the government tries to enforce price caps in the sector. Live to our political reporter Joel Philp. Joel, this is some pretty heavy pushback from the industry.
Absolutely, Karen. Look, gas company insiders are accusing the government of plotting this overhaul within its sector in secret. And so today, some major gas producers have come out swinging, saying that these interventions will actually make the situation worse. I'm going to read you some comments now from the CEO of Woodside. It says, "We need to unlock gas supply now. For example, Woodside has been looking at options to increase supply, including through new LNG import terminals, exploration spending, and further development on the East Coast. Unfortunately, the proposed market intervention will make it very difficult for industry to economically invest to increase supply." Energy giant Shell also is considering backing away from that East Coast gas supply agreement, which was signed up with the federal government just months ago. And insiders have told me, consider the situation in Australia to that which is occurring in Germany, in which 6 new LNG import terminals are in the process of being built. There's a stark contrast, they say, between those two countries. Meanwhile, Energy Minister Chris Bowen is effectively staring down these big gas companies here in Australia, saying that he has to shield Australian households and businesses from the impact of rising prices.
Shell is one of the most profitable companies in Australia, and we don't mind them making profits in their gas offshore, their gas exports. They can make as much profit as they want doing that. But Australians have a right to this gas at a fair price, and I make this very clear. The government will be acting in the national interest, not in the interest of Shell, not in the interest of any gas company.
Even before this legislation is introduced to Parliament, which is expected to occur on that extra sitting day on this Thursday, only draft legislations have been handed out to the parties involved at this stage. Nothing has been finalised. The opposition is particularly frustrated, saying that the government is effectively using Parliament as a rubber stamp and not allowing the Parliament to go through the typical processes that would come along with such a transformative piece of legislation.
What the government is suggesting is that this complicated bill is going to be rammed through both houses of Parliament in one day. We haven't yet seen the bill. We're 2 days out from the parliamentary sitting. We have not seen the bill. The government's saying there won't be question time, so there won't be an opportunity to ask questions. And all of the normal parliamentary processes in which a complicated piece of legislation is considered, such as a Senate committee or a parliamentary committee, are not being contemplated by the government.
While it's possible that coalition MPs could cross the floor to support an omnibus-style bill if it contains some form of energy price release, it's highly likely that when it comes to the Senate, the government will need to work with the Greens and potentially a bloc with that party and David Pocock. Now, they are trying to negotiate, as part of their support for this bill, a transition plan for households and businesses to be able to be incentivised to move away from gas.
You know, that sort of relief will help, but unless that's backed up with plans for after 12 months, after that ends, then what? We've got to really push the government to have a longer-term strategy that is going to meaningfully help households reduce bills.
They're also pushing for a greater spend on compensation for households and businesses who are being affected by these high prices. And of course, even after the price caps on coal and gas are implemented, the government's own forecasts indicate that they're still expected electricity bills to increase by 47% over a 2-year period. Anthony Albanese says the $1.5 billion energy relief spend the government has flagged will be targeted for those already receiving welfare payments in Australia and also small business owners.
Commonwealth recipients, so pensioners, people on job seeker, people on family tax benefits will all receive some assistance, and that will be targeted particularly towards those states which are part of the national energy market who've been hardest hit. So South East Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia.
The Greens have been holding a party room meeting today to finalise that party's decision on whether they'll support this legislation or not, although it's still only in its draft form. We'll hear from them soon to find out which way this could go.